And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from, where is it? There it is. Lachin Fei. I probably am butchering your name. I'm sorry. Now, you asked the question, who would win the fight? Hive from DC versus SCP-173. Now, I had to assume when you said the Hive, and it's Hive period, H period, I period, V period, E period, Hive, you meant the group, the organization. Unfortunately, there's been so many members and stuff like that, it's almost impossible to give you a good, group of the Hive. So instead, what I decided to do ultimately was use the Hive that we saw, the Hive 5 that we saw from the original team. Yeah, the original team. I had to think for a second on that sentence. The original Teen Titans show? Yeah, the original Teen Titans show. Which would include Jinx, Mammoth, Gizmo, Billy Numerous, Seymour, and I'll admit, I don't actually remember the name of the guy who looks kind of like Batman. Actually, you know what? Give me a second. I can find that out real quick. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. Kid Wicked. That's it, Kid Wicked. So there we go. And actually, I can get all their members up here right now and have their abilities. So that's who we're basically putting up against SCP-173. Now let's go over SCP-173. I've done a couple SCPs on the channel before. Mostly, which one is Abel or Cain? That's like 076 or 73. It's one of the 70s. It's basically the counterpart to it's Cain and Abel, but it's the one that's like the nearly unstoppable warrior. I've done him, and obviously I've done 686, I believe, is the unkillable reptile. I've done him several times. I haven't done many other SCPs, but I've got plenty of requests for other SCPs. And obviously, if you want other SCPs, just suggest them. I'll get to them eventually. Because I love the SCP Foundation. It's just fan-made, make your own SCP, make your own weird anomalous thing, and it's awesome. My favorite, though, are always anomalous creatures, just because I love monsters and stuff like that. Those are always my favorite. Like the one that's theoretically the world serpent from Norse mythology, which is currently sleeping in the ice. The Leviathan underneath the... that's just like that moves a little bit. Like anytime it moves, it's like almost like an earthquake. It's like and it's so big, it's a bunch of islands on its back. The elk that actually transmutes matter that has a human face. I just love monsters, so that's kind of where I stand with that. But SCP-173 is actually one of the old school SCPs. Like he wasn't one of the first ones, I don't think, but he wasn't the first one, I don't think. He might have been, but I'm saying it's generalist. I don't think it was, but it might have been. I don't actually know what was the first SCP ever made. It might have been this. But I know he was one of the first. And what it is it is a statue. It's a weird, almost papier-mâché looking statue, but it's made of concrete and rebar and things along those lines. And what it is, essentially, is it's this weird humanoid figure. You have to keep a line of sight on her. Even if you blink like that, it will move. If you can move, and it moves disturbingly fast. Not necessarily instant teleportation. They do confirm it's not like just teleporting. It does have to actually physically move, but it moves so fast it might as well be teleporting. It's not light speed or anything, but it's fast. So that you always have to have a line of sight on it, which honestly, if you're really thinking about much, if you're like going to staring contest mode, just do one eye at a time. There you go. So, one eye at a time. And then, when you feel like the other one's starting to dry out a bit, there you go. I mean, it's not actually that hard of a concept to get down, but if you're not looking at it, it moves and either snaps your neck or strangles you to death. And it will do that. It just does it, and it does it effectively. Like, this thing is not a cater class SCP, which the levels of SCP are safe, meaning, what's the best way to put it? The containment class for SCPs go as safe. Apparently, I've always been mispronouncing it. I thought it was Elucid. It's Euclid and Cater. And there's also been like just terminated ones as well. Like they finally managed to destroy. But safe doesn't necessarily translate to its power per se. it translates to its ability to be contained properly. Safe means that even if it's like a world-class threat, safe. No, we can easily contain this. Euclid is difficult but manageable. Hence, with this, there needs to be a constant line of sight on this SCP. Otherwise, it could move and get loose and kill people. Cater are near impossible to contain completely. That or the procedures to contain them are so drastic that one little slip up and all hell's gonna break loose. So they are either impossible to contain or near, or so much effort has to go in that one little slip up and we're screwed. Hence why SCP-686, and again, I think I'm getting his number right. The unkillable reptile is broken containment, God knows how many times. Speaking of which, this thing has actually been used to try to kill SCP-686. Give me 1 second. I want to be sure I'm getting that SCP right too. Just so for the sake of name, SCP, because he's probably among the most famous SCPs. SCP, where are you? You'd think it'd come up automatically, but 1 second. 683. That's what it is. I was 3 numbers off. Give me some credit here. I was 3 numbers off. 683. So, yeah, 683. They actually tried to use him to kill SCP-683. And there are different incarnations, because it's different sources, different materials, different stories along those lines. In one version, I think he actually did succeed in killing him. But due to just the nature of SCP-683, he was able to just regenerate. Like he tried to snap his neck, and eventually what SCP-683 had to do, because what part of SCP's A6's abilities, A3's abilities are, is that, sorry, I had something and now I got something caught in my throat. My voice is kind of like, ew. Is basically it can adapt and evolve to counteract anything that could pose a threat to it. SCP-683 can actually make turn its body into non-living tissue while still functioning. It literally is near, that's the weird thing. It's actually not impossible to destroy SCP-683. However, it's nigh impossible. Because there's another SCP where it's basically like doing like a deal with like gods to have something happen, and whatever you want doing, and you basically sit on a table and basically they kind of communicate to you. It's like, what would it take to actually permanently kill and cease the existence of 683? And they actually stopped and thought about it. It's like, yeah, you don't have enough to compensate for what it would take to do that. It's like, so yeah, it's not impossible. It's just nigh impossible in many ways. But anyway, I guess we're talking about him. Now, I can't remember. I believe this guy is durable enough, this SCP-683, or 683? Now, I got it right. I'm talking about the other one. 173 is durable enough to survive a nuke, if I'm not mistaken. But it's still not like, it's not the most dangerous SCP in the world. There are SCPs that clearly trump this guy in terms of what they can do. Could probably just, for instance, I'm trying to remember, it's one of the quadruple digit ones, like in the thousands SCPs. It's the elk that with the human face that can actually just manipulate matter and just deconstruct it. So that SCP version, anything that can manipulate matter or just instantly erase something out of existence, things along those lines, this thing has this thing can't do anything about it. If anything that could basically remove its remove its gravity, basically cause it to float more or less, so it can't move. If it can't move, it can't do anything. So there are plenty of ways to actually get around this SCP if you know how to use it. So the Hive members, particularly the Hive members, we'll be looking at are Jinx, Gizmo, Mammoth, Seymour. We're not going to be looking at Private Hive because I don't even know who that is, honestly. First of his enemies were I don't even remember Private Hive. Billy Numerous and Kid Wicked. Jinx is Jinx was the kind of the de facto leader for a while up until Lightspeed, where she met Kid Flash and kind of dealt with the thing for her. She wields magical hex powers and is also a good gymnast capable of performing flips and jumps. Basically, her hex abilities kind of allow bad luck to some degree, bad luck to happen. Also, energy abilities, things along those lines. Gizmo is a scientific genius, creating a bunch of gadgets, skilled hacker, easily breaking into computer systems. In the comics, as well as in the last few episodes of the show, he became the second leader of the Hive after Jinx defected. Mammoth is just the big muscle of the group. He's a huge, thick-skinned guy, can go toe-to-toe with some of the stronger individuals in the DC universe. Not necessarily he can't do anything against a Solomon Grundy or a Superman, but so actually, Solomon Grundy's actually not a bad comparison compared to, he could go toe. We've seen, Young Justice, though we're using Teen Titans there, that the Mammoth formula, which created Mammoth, although Mammoth is slightly different, still similar, could go toe-to-toe with someone like Bane when he's fully jacked. So, yeah, he's definitely can duke it out with some of the heavier hitters. Not the heaviest of hitters, though. Seymour is an interesting one. Seymour is the kid with the one eye who joined prior to the episode Mother May I. His powers come from a single eye visor and someone with various eye superpowers. His powers include shooting laser eyes, or shooting eye-shaped bubbles, like projections, shields, X-ray visions, infrared visions, lasers. It's possible that he left the group while still trailing along the path of evil, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he's got all these abilities. Then there's Billy Numerous, can just make God knows how many clones of himself. Though there is a limit, we learn, when Cyborg first encounters him. Well, a second time. In that episode where they first meet him. There is a limit to what he can do, but it's a lot of clones before he even hits that limit. Kid Wicked is the weird Batman-looking guy, the quiet stealth master. Basically, he's capable of teleportation, which allows him to perform sneak attacks, though he's capable of hand-to-hand combat as well. The sharp edges on his cape have been proven to be strong enough to cut through steel. His costume vaguely resembles Batman. So, all these kids are very unique and powerful, but if they were suddenly put in a room with SCP-173, what would happen? Well, right off the bat, if the question becomes, when do they take their eyes off SCP-173? Because that's going to be the real thing here that kind of kicks them in the ass a little bit. They will all eventually stop looking at SCP-173. So I guess the question is, who dies first? And it's actually not known if there's much sentience to 173. It probably has some sort of level of understanding of the world around it. It's just not. It's just unknown if it basically chooses its victims to be like, I want to kill that one first. It'd probably go to the one closest to it or the most easily susceptible, because it might not go for it might go for Mammoth, seeing it as the largest one and poses maybe the biggest theoretical threat to it. And honestly, yeah, that might be the legitimate the way that its possible limited mindset really works. So. When they turn around kind of looking for a way out of this room that we're locked in as 173 is, all of a sudden they see Mammoth's head go, and then Mammoth drops down. Dead. Like, holy crap! Why? They just see 173 is there. Someone was like, what is it? And then, now here's the thing. Because of hex magic, I do think Jinx would be able to kind of extrapolate something from 173. That something's raw off with this. Like, she's sensing anomalous properties from it. So, she uses her hex powers, and the hex powers very well might do something to 173, because the way Jinx's powers hex powers is just a way to say it. She can cause bad luck to happen in many ways. But in terms of how her powers and abilities are actually described, probability manipulation is basically what it actually does. In Jinx's case, she's bad luck. It's bad luck. Jinx describes enchanting sorceress with wields power of bad luck, which manifests as pink lightning-like energy blasts away as fire from hand. Jinx portrays a manipulation of probability, or more specifically, the ability to jinx her enemies, hence her name. How she does this has never been explored in the series. When she's not shooting with energy, her eyes glow a bright pink instead, and she can make structures crumble. So, in theory, Jinx would probably be the perfect individual to take down 173 just by causing bad stuff to happen. Like it maybe tries to run, and its legs for some reason actually crumble. And Seymour maybe tries to shoot it with lasers, and they realize, yeah, what this thing's not budging. I can't even destroy this thing. What's going on here? Then you get Kate Wicked just teleporting, and Billy Numerous like, oh, Rylan, let's see here now. And Billy Numerous, all he has to do is create a bunch of copies of himself to keep his eyes on him. Keep his eyes on the thing. Now, the question does become, at any point does 173 is 173 able to do something again? Maybe, but honestly, with that many eyes plus Billy Numerous, I wouldn't really think he could. And I use he, it's genderless, but for some reason he sounds right. I really don't think it could. Just to the fact that they would be very aware of this thing now and not really letting their eyes off it. Even though blinking would still be a problem, there's so many of them that the chances of it even getting caught, with it even getting caught in a scenario where it could move, isn't the most likely of scenarios. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things that they Seymour could just put it in a bubble and then it can't move. At that point, it's just floating in a bubble. It might break the bubble at some point, but that's about it. And then they just find a way out of there. The problem putting any SCP against anything from a completely separate universe and continuity and rule set, it's about answering the question: how does that SCP, or how does that any individual fare in that universe against those characters? And the problem is all these characters are superpowered in some way, and there's multiple of them, which means it's actually not as good of a scenario for 173. On a one-on-one fight, 73 could probably beat any of these guys as long as they took their eyes off them. But yeah, in a group on a multiple person on one fight, unfortunately, 173 comes out short in that scenario. Still, though, he would more than likely take out one of them before they realize what happened. And unfortunately, it would probably be Mammoth, as from just a size perspective, Mammoth poses the biggest threat to 173. Hell, I don't know if Mammoth or 173 could take out any of the larger SCPs, like the Leviathan, which I can't remember which number that one is, like the giant eel, like the elk. So I don't know, just because of the sheer size of those individuals, if it could take it out. We know it's been able to take on 683 before, but 683 can just adapt to the circumstance. What 683 actually did was just develop a lot of eyes, so it just constantly kept staring. So anyway, though, yeah, I think one of them would die, but ultimately they would win over 173. And again, this is going off of what I could find for Hive. I know there was a character named Hive Regal or something like that, but I couldn't find anything on that character, so this is the best I had to do or go with. If you wanted someone else named Hive, you'll have to be more specific about who that Hive was. I couldn't find anyone besides this. Let me rephrase. I could find the comic version of the Hive, but it's similar to like saying the Avengers versus this guy's like, okay, who do you put on the Avengers team then? Because you know how many Avengers there's been? Like putting the X-Men against, do you know how many X-Men there have been? Well, what about the Justice League? I don't know how many Justice League members there have been. If you gave me like the Outlaws or the Defenders or X-Force, those are very limited teams with very limited members over their history. That's something I can work with. But yeah, with like other characters, like I have no idea how many members there are, or there are just too many members to really go off of. So ultimately, I'm going with the Hive on this. But let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think that 173 would just rip through all of them? Or do you think that because I do think, like I said, I think one of them would die just to put, because they wouldn't think anything of it. They'd probably all turn their backs on this thing, figuring out how to get out of this room that they suddenly got put in. And then that's when, when their necks go snap and they realize, oh no, we must keep our eyes on this thing now. So, yeah, ultimately, I would go with the Hive. But let me know what you think. The Hive or 173? Put in the comments below. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Why am I using a voice like this? I don't know, but it seems very peaceful and charming. Anyway, soothing as the term would be. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Honestly, I don't have much to do this week. It's just still a standard week for me. The What If week is next week. I got a Lantern Core video tomorrow, though, so keep your eyes up for that at least. Till then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.